So this video is for the chapter 9 homework 6, which is the angle worksheet number 4. Well, a couple quick notes at the very top here. Just a little reminder that x is equal to the cosine of your angle. Y is equal to the sine of your angle, which means that the reciprocal of cosine, which is your secant, remember C doesn't go with C and S doesn't go with S. That's how I remember it. This is going to be equal to 1 over x. And your sine, the reciprocal sine, is going to be cosecant. And that's going to be 1 over y. And then tangent is equal to sine over cosine, or y over x, which means that its reciprocal, which is cotangent, is going to be x over y. So what you want to pay attention to is that when your denominator is 0, you will end up with an undefined situation. So you want to kind of keep that in mind. So you'll have an undefined situation possible for secant if your x is 0. You have an undefined situation for cosecant if your y is 0. You'll have an undefined situation for your tangent if your x is 0. You have an undefined situation for your cotangent if your y is 0. Now we're doing these from 0 to 2 pi, including 0, not including 2 pi. Okay, so if my cosecant is undefined, okay, so remember, I just mentioned up here, but that would be, sine would be your reciprocal, and sine is y. And so cosecant is equal to 1 over y. And if it's undefined, that means my y is 0. Okay, so this is going to happen when your y is 0. So this is 0, and then this would be 1 over 0, which is undefined. So where is your y 0? Your y is 0 at 0 and at pi. Those are going to be your two answers. On number 2, cosecant, again, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. And so I'm trying to figure out where my sine is going to be -1, because the reciprocal of -1 is -1. And my sine is negative in quadrants 3 and 4. So I would be down here is where I'm going to be looking, including, so I'll be down here in this quadrant. So when we're trying to find our sine being a -1, that's going to occur down here at 0, -1, which is at 3 pi halves. So we have one answer for that, 3 pi halves. On number 3, again, cosecant. So the reciprocal of cosecant is sine. And so the reciprocal of a -2 is a -1/2. So again, if I want to think about where my sine is negative, it's negative in those two quadrants, 3 and 4. And I want my sine, which is my y, to be a -1/2, which means I want my y to be the short. So it's going to be long comma short, which puts me right here. And it's going to be long comma short, which puts me right here. So this point over here is -√3/2 comma -1/2, but the radians, these are going to be 6. So this is going to be 7 pi 6. And this over here, because 6 pi 6 and 6 pi 6 makes 12 pi 6, this is going to be one short, which is 11 pi 6. Secant. Okay, so this is reciprocal cosine. So that means this is a 1 over √2. And we would rationalize this. We would multiply top and bottom by √2. and then we get root 2 over 2. Now my cosine is going to be positive in quadrants 1 and 4. Okay, quadrants 1 and 4. So I'm going to be here in these sections. Now my root 2 halves, root 2 halves is my pi fourths. So this is going to be here at pi fourths, and down here at 7 pi fourths. My secant, again, is my cosine's reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 1 is 1. And that is going to occur where cosine is positive. And again, these two quadrants here, 1 and 4. And where my cosine is a 1 is going to be here at 1, 0, which is 0. My secant is undefined, means that my cosine would have been 0. Okay, my x would have been 0. So my x is 0 up here at 0, 1, and down here at 0, -1. So that's going to be at pi halves and 3 pi halves. Those are my two answers. 7 for my cotangent. I guess I left these off. I'll just add those on real quick. So on these ones, I added circles on. I guess for some reason, those ones got deleted at the bottom. So if you want your cotangent, remember your cotangent is the reciprocal of your tangent. Tangent is y over x. So that means your cotangent is x over y. Now, since we ended up with a root 3 over 3, this is going to either be at my pi thirds or my pi 6, because those are the ones that have a root 3 halves, either as an x or the y. We need to decide if we want our root 3 halves in our numerator or in our denominator. Now, if it's in your numerator, you're not going to have to rationalize. So if it is in your numerator, for example, it would have been a root 3 halves over 1 half, which would have been a root 3 over 2 times a 2 over 1, which would end up giving us just a plain old root 3. But if it was the other direction and it was 1 half over root 3 halves, that would be a 1 half times reciprocal, which would be 2 over root 3. That would be 1 over root 3, and then I'd have to rationalize times the top and the bottom by root 3, and that would be root 3 over 3. So when you end up with a root 3 over 3 instead of just plain root 3, that means your root 3 halves was in your denominator. And in this case, since that is we're dealing with cotangent, that means it's going to be your y. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for our y. I'm going to just get rid of these. Okay, so I want my y to be a root 3 over 2. That's what I want. So my cotangent is positive in quadrant 1 and in quadrant 3. And I want my y to be a root 3 halves. So that means I want my y to be long. So short comma long, I'm going to be right here at pi thirds. And again, short comma long puts me down here. This is going to be 4 pi thirds. Those are my two radians. Now, the next one is cotangent of negative root 3. Now, first off, this is negative, which means we're going to be in quadrant 2. and 4. And then this time, I want my situation to be where I have my root 3 halves in my numerator and my 1/2 in my denominator. Remember, this is x over y, so I want my x to be a root 3 halves or a negative root 3 halves, honestly. So I want my x to be long. So long comma short is going to put me right here. That is going to be my 6. So this is going to be 5, 5, 6. And over here, which is going to be 11, 5, 6. Now, the last one here is going to be a positive root 3. So again, positive cotangent is in quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. And so again, cotangent, we want x over y. I want my x to be my root 3 halves and my y to be my 1/2. So I want my x to be long. So long comma short is going to put me right here at pi 6 and over here at 7 pi 6. And that's the end of this video.